All right, Wild Girls Gone Sober.
Woo! Welcome to another episode of Wild Girls Gone Sober. I believe this is episode 22.
Ooh. I'm Amy.
And I'm Lindsay, and thank you guys for tuning in today.
Yep. Excited to see you. We're a little late with getting a recording out there. We had a busy week last week, so catching up.
Catching up. Yeah, we were
Catching
we were getting pretty good at being consistent there, but we did miss last week, so that won't happen again.
Sorry.
Sorry.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
So, Amy, what's been going on?
So what has happened since our last? So I got my 10-month chip.
Woohoo!
Yep, that was exciting. I love that meeting that gives out chips every single month. If you can find one of those, do it because it's great. So yeah, 10 months, eking in on a year. It's in the sight lines.
right.
I'm hanging on day by day to get there. But I'm excited about it. It's been a weird week though. Like I think we've both been weird and stressy and emotional and funky. I know I was
Mhm.
really getting a little down in the dumps and funky, and two different people like asked me if I had gone to meetings lately, and I was like, oh
That's so funny
no.
because Pat will be like, "Do you have a SS appointment anytime soon? Like if I'm cranky and
Mm,
that's my therapist?" And I'm like, "No,
right? They're just gonna
why?"
make me a douchebag if you ask
But then I'm
that.
like, maybe he's
But I
right.
probably need to go.
Yeah, and then I make an appointment.
Fine.
No,
Fine.
you're right. I feel like this week's been a little.
Yeah, it's been a rough week. I feel like end of last week into this week. And I
Okay.
know there's like a lot going on for me. Like at the end of last week I talked to my mom and I kind of lost my shit a little bit. Um some of it may be fair, a lot of it probably not.
Well, you're dealing with not being able to see her too,
Right.
and the other day you're like, "I'm never gonna see my mom again," and
Right.
I was
That's
like,
how I
"Oh,
feel. I
yeah,
feel like I'm never going to get to see my mom again. I feel like there's no end in sight to this
yeah."
stupid fucking quarantine bullshit. And they're taking it very seriously, as they should be. And I feel like we're not in my house. We're not taking it very seriously. And so it's probably good that my mom's not here because I certainly
Right.
don't want her to be at risk for anything. But at the same time, I have this like I've said this before that my sister and I have kind of a weird relationship. Like we love
Mhm.
each other. I jump in front of a train for her. She would cut her arm off for me.
Mhm.
She donate a kidney if I needed one. Like we're good. Like we love each other. But at the same time, I think we're both really insecure and jealous of each other. Like we both think the other gets the better end of the stick. Like it's so hard to explain.
No, I totally
We
get
both
it.
think the other one's the golden child, and we
Yeah.
both get pissy at the other one without saying it to each other because we're a total passive aggressive family that just like
Mhm.
stuffs stuff down and doesn't ever confront each other about anything. So I get bitter and jealous that I feel like she controls my mom. Like when we moved down here, my parents couldn't come here because my dad was on dialysis. He was really sick for a long time. Yeah. And so it was so hard to coordinate travel. They didn't come here. So after my dad passed away, my mom finally came to visit and she came for like 2 or 3 weeks and then she went back and then she came back another time for like 6 weeks. But that's the longest she's been able to come because every time she comes, there's some reason she has to run back home to my sister. Like, oh, they're going on a trip and she's going with them. Oh, it's birthday month because everybody's birthday is in August back home. Oh, it's this, it's that. Like, there was always a reason she had to leave here to be there and could never
Mhm.
just be here and hang out, even though she clearly loves to be here. So I'm already pissy about that situation. Now I've been looking forward to her selling her house because she has promised for the last couple of years. She has not been here for like 2 years. She's promised she's going to come and just stay for a few months and hang out and enjoy herself and not have an agenda. And COVID happened.
Which is out of her
It's
control, and
totally
it's
out of
out
her
of your
control.
control, and it's out of your sister's
And my sister
control.
didn't cause a pandemic.
Right.
However,
Thanks, sister.
I feel like she fucking wins. Like she fucking wins because now my mom has moved into their house. And every time I talk to my mom, it's like, oh, well, we did this and we did that. And we go for a drive and we had dinner. And we da da da. And I get to hear about all the things that they're all doing together as a family. And I can't even go visit because if I show up, they'd make me quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yeah, they don't want us Floridians, that's for sure. I know my
So
mom was trying to see my brother.
I'm
My mom feels that
really,
same way about my brother and
Yeah.
not ever seeing him. Like, she was super dramatic about it at dinner the other day.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I know it sucks.
And it's
It's
nobody's
not
fault.
gonna
I
be
just like
forever. I
lost my
know.
shit about it. I did. And I'm so, we all have our views on things. I don't align with the political and other views of my family. I'm a bit of a black sheep, I
Mhm.
think, when it comes to that. I'm a little bit more central and they're a little bit more left.
Okay.
And that impacts the conversation. And so then it gets icky and weird and ugly. And to some degree, I think they were overreacting to some things and blah, 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 blah. So I kind of like went a little bit postal on my mom because she was freaking out that, oh, the government screwed up. And I'm like, oh, what would someone like me who has to pay my bills do? Like, without getting into all the details, like, I kind of had the opposing feelings on what she was
Mhm.
saying. And I kind of like, "Meh." So anyway, so there was that. And then I had so I had that happen. And then I had like a breakdown in the car with Jay Snow as we were going to the grocery store. I was like, I just feel like I'm not going to see mom again. Me. And he's like, okay, so you're crying in the parking lot of the grocery store. When's the last time you went to a meeting? And I was like,
Oh,
ugh. And I haven't. It's been weeks. I haven't
I know
even
you've been
logged
going
onto
more
my
than I have.
Zoom, nothing. So I've been way better this week.
So, when you told me that you went to a meeting last week, I've kind of been feeling a little like I feel good. I'm not like I didn't feel bad, but I've been having some like achy body issues. And
Mm.
when I fell off my bicycle, which is so
Lindsay
stupid.
fell off her bike. We
It's
need training wheels.
like
Producer Pat, where's Lindsay's training wheels?
and so I didn't rest enough apparently, and so I feel like I'm a little more injured than I should be. And I don't know, I just felt kind of weird this week. And so when you and I chatted and Tuesday, we went to a meeting and I feel like that was really good.
Mm. It
Um
was a good meeting
it was a
too. It was
good
a
meeting.
great topic. Resentment. Ooh, we should
Resentment.
talk about that a little bit.
So
We'll circle
yeah,
back.
so good topic. I don't really like when it's real quiet in the room when you're like
Mm.
forced to say something, but we'll get to that in a minute. But so anyway, so yeah, so Tuesday, meeting, I felt really good. I went and saw my parents after because
Mm-hmm.
sorry. But I had felt like I hadn't been able to really like see anybody. Like I haven't seen my really like any of my other girlfriends. I hadn't seen my parents in a couple weeks. I was kind of feeling like just I needed
Needing some
some
connection.
yeah,
I
just some
completely get it.
yeah, some connection. I mean, I love Pat and we're great, but
Yeah.
like sometimes you need to switch it
Well, and
up a
I
little
think
bit.
you need your people. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's what I'm going through is I'm in the midst of like the only people that I have here are John's people.
Mhm.
Like, I don't have any family here. I am completely alone in the blizzard of snows. And so that's hard.
Yeah.
Like, I want my people, the people who just love me because it's me. And I don't have to be anything other than just completely myself. And they love me
Right.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so once my parents had dinner, that was good. My mom was dramatic about not seeing my brother.
Mm.
I'm like, "Mom, they don't want you. Like, this is the one time you cannot go to New York.
Tell
It's the
her
one
I
time
get
she
it.
Yes. So maybe you guys should have a lunch date.
Meow.
um, so then Wednesday, you and I played golf Wednesday night, and
I like how slowly we're getting to the story. So
and that's when I had a
Wednesday,
breakdown.
Lindsay had a bit of a meltdown.
And
It
my
was a tense golf outing.
I was really trying. I thought I was holding my shit together too. You didn't think so? Okay, because I
I
was like,
no, I thought you were gonna rip my head off at any moment. I couldn't say a right thing.
really? Okay, that might have just been you. I felt like I didn't feel like you were. Well, I didn't feel like you were saying anything bad.
Okay.
Like I didn't feel like I wanted to secretly punch you or anything.
Okay. It felt that way.
Oh,
There was something coming across.
I didn't mean it. So, but my elbow was started hurting, and my elbow hasn't hurted from my accident. It hasn't hurt from running. It hasn't hurt from anything I've done, and so it was just really dramatic. So when I got home, I was like in the shower, I was like crying all by myself for like 30 minutes because my elbow hurt, like my whole
Mm.
body hurt,
Mm.
and it's so stupid. So
It's just frustration, though. It's frustrated cry. You were
yeah,
frustrated because you
well,
didn't play well, because you were hurting, and you didn't really play that bad
no,
either. Like,
yeah, we
you
had
were
the same
fine,
shot,
but you
right?
felt like you weren't playing well.
I just felt like I've come to a point where you work so hard in getting sober and figuring out these things. And, we talked about it last week, like about your passions. And so one of like what you like doing. And one thing for me has always been like, I've always like supposedly liked to golf and run and be athletic and do stuff. So now that I'm in this place where I'm the healthiest I've ever been, I'm feeling really great, my mental,
Mhm.
and then to
Read the
have
penis book, gave up meat.
right, everything. And so to feel really good about something and be happy that you're like doing it with your, your best friend and da da
Mm.
da, and then to be in so much pain. And it was just, I mean, I literally like, I guess to circle back to what I was saying about being sober, though, it's like I always envisioned myself to be this person that did these things, and now that I am this person doing these things, enjoying it and really doing them and being present,
Right.
like, and then to be in pain doing it, I know it sounds bratty, but it just felt like such a meltdown. So poor
Mhm.
Pat comes home, and I'm on the floor.
Poor Pat.
I'm on
He
the
doesn't know
floor, like,
what he's fucking walking
no,
into.
eating dinner, like, in my robe from the shower, and he walks in the door, and I'm just, like, crying, right? He's just like, "Oh my god," so he takes all of his stuff, like, off, And he comes in, and he just, like, bear hugs, and I'm just like, "Thanks for coming home." I was like,
Good job,
so I
Pat.
was like, "Why did I get sober younger?" He's like, "Oh my god, like, I thought it was just your elbow." Like,
He's like, what the fuck?
right.
Snowball.
So thank God I had an appointment with my therapist yesterday.
Mm.
So that was meeting, breakdown,
Therapy,
double S.
purge,
Yeah.
all good.
One thing she said that was
Shaking it off.
interesting, which kind of relates to what you were saying, is that she said she's seeing in her patients that like the COVID is catching up to everyone. So people
Mm.
like you and I that seem to have been pretty fine throughout it are like starting to kind of freak out a little bit. She said she had one client that like is now back in rehab and like not that she shared too much information, but she just was
Sure,
saying like,
sure.
because we were talking about, I was like, I don't have an urge to drink. That's not it.
Hmm.
I just want to feel better.
So I thought of you yesterday while we were going to buy the lizard's furniture. John is doing the dirt bike thing now, right? And I got him a GoPro for Father's Day. And so the other day we saw the first GoPro video, which this thing is
Oh,
amazing.
they're awesome.
It's amazing. It's so cool. We casted it up on the giant, football TV,
Oh
and
my
I was like, "Oh my god, you should bring your bike in the living room and I'll sit on it.
God.
It'll
You
be like
feel
I'm
like
doing it myself." Like it was so cool. But we
like
watched his
VR.
57-year-old ass fall off a few times on this video, like get tossed. And one of my favorite ones, it was hilarious. Just the angle that the GoPro catches, it's really funny. All you see is his feet go like boom, like just together, and he lands. And he was saying last night, he's like, he was really sore for the last couple of days, like just like
Mhm.
muscle sore, not like I crashed my bike sore, but like muscle sore from, because I mean, you should see what he's riding through. It's very technical, like it's tight little turns and logs and rocks, and like it's amazing.
Have to
It's so gorgeous, but
post a
it's a
GoPro and
lot of it's a lot of work
right.
balancing the bike because at slower speeds, it's harder to balance the motorcycle. So he said to me last night, he's like, what's funny? He's like, my whole body was hurting for the last couple of days. Like I was just sore. And I woke up this morning and I feel great. And my shoulder is fucking killing me. He's like, so was my muscle pain just like masking the fact that I had banged up my shoulder in the crash? And so I was kind of thinking about you when he said that because I was like, well, maybe that's a part of why the elbow surfaced because your
Mhm.
knees were bothering you, you were sore, you were bruised up. Maybe you jammed your elbow a little bit when you fell too, but everything else hurt enough
Mm.
that the elbow didn't show up till everything else started to feel better. Throwing that
Yeah.
out there. I don't know. I used to also get super tendonitis from cleaning stalls, that repetitive motion, and
Yeah.
icing it in a leave. Like that's all you
Ice,
can do.
stretch, and leave, ice,
Yeah,
stretch. And
it's
so
the answer.
I know. I'm gonna talk to what's her name about it, but we'll see because they say like te- um the tennis elbow and
Yeah.
golfing elbow, and
Hmm. It's just repetitive
yeah,
motion.
it's kind of how it feels. So I don't know.
I
Have
know
to.
when I have it, it's like
Yes.
right in this little crook. It's like between these two, and the more I want to put pressure on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it
And
and it can come like here. That's my tendonitis, but it's usually like in there and then this muscle right
it
here.
doesn't go that low. But yeah,
So
so even like last night I was doing something and I got in bed and all of a sudden I was just like, oh,
aching.
I'm
Yeah.
still here. So, but which can kind of feel like when you're just getting sober, that like demon that's like, I'm still here, I'm still here, I'm still
Mm.
here. So I'm glad I don't hear that anymore. But
Yeah, you're fortunate. Mine's fucking loud and proud, man.
you still
Loud and
hear?
proud for sure. Yeah, and I think lately too, like lately, I think about it a lot. I
But
think about drinking every day. I can honestly say that. There's no
like
point
you want to?
like I miss it or I fantasize about it or I think about it or it crosses my brain. Like I'm
But
not worried I'm going to.
like in a positive way? Like
No.
you're like, "Ooh, like I would love to be feel drunk," or like what is your
Um yeah, there's probably an element of that. Like I wish I had the ability to unwind like that, to numb that feeling. I don't like feeling to like it's usually in a moment of duress when I'm unhappy or I'm not feeling good for some reason. And I would prefer to feel differently than I feel. Like that's why I thought that. So we went to that meeting on Tuesday
Mhm.
and the topic was resentment, but it kind of, as it always does, it kind of morphed into other things. And I think one of the things that got brought up a couple times was like the drinking because of the feels. And that's
Right.
what I relate to. Like, I don't want to feel the way I'm feeling right this very moment. So I want to numb it and I want to just be able to zen out, relax. And to me, that was wine. That was what I would do to feel that way. So, having been kind of in a weird, difficult space for the last couple of weeks, like, it's definitely been on my brain. I'm not worried I'm gonna drink. I pull all the tools out, right? I move muscle, change of thought. I hold my
Play the
little
tape.
play with my little chip. I play the tape. I call my sponsor. I call you. Like I do all the things. So I'm okay. I know I've got my toolbox. I'm not gonna drink, but I think about it. Yeah. But I think about it all the time. It's awful.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I think about it, and like, so we play golf in a league, like a little summer league. Pat always describes it. He's like, it's like a bowling league, but it's golf. He's like, yeah, that's how he describes it.
It's like a bowling league with
But
nothing like
golf, yeah.
that. Except nothing like
But
golf or
it's just
bowling.
funny. I just thought it was cute how
That's
he says it. I'm always like,
hysterical. I'm gonna show up in my Red Hawk bowling shirt that we had made for our little TCBA team
that's
and be
awesome.
like, "We're going golfing."
Oh, shit, I lost. Oh, so seeing there's a woman that plays and I don't know her, so I'm being judgy when I say this, but
Mm. Yeah, we're judging her like a
she's
mofo,
probably like late 50s
at least.
at
Yeah.
least.
Well,
She probably looks a little
I
rougher
was gonna
just
say
because of
she's
her,
probably a
her
bit
life
weathered.
choices.
She's probably early 50s, to be
Right.
honest.
And there's just something about her. She just always looks a little tanked. Like she just looks like she's comes rolls in and we play at like, almost 5 o'clock. So
Yeah.
it's later. But she always has a cooler and she wears flip flops. And the other day when we were golfing, I
She
saw
just looks
her.
trashy.
She does.
She looks like a trash bag.
But the other day when we were golfing, and I was
Sorry.
kind of stressed out, I saw her and she was up on the tee box,
Smoking a bat.
smoking a cigarette, like with a drink in the cart, wearing flip flops, kind of being a little loud and like, hey, like
Yep.
waving and stuff. And
Yep.
I just thought, God, that's so obnoxious. And then
Yep.
I thought,
Ooh, that'd be us in 20 years.
that would be us. Yeah.
10.
10.
10.
And exactly that would be us.
Yeah.
Like, it just made me so grateful at that moment to not be that person, right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that was kind of frustrating me because I was like, I'm in this state of gratitude. Like even when I fell off my bicycle, I was like, oh, my life is so great. I love everything. Boom, fell off the bike. Like so, I'm cognizant of this gratitude I have, but yet these things are still like irritating me.
Mm.
And the one thing I do know that I haven't been doing is meditating. And so
Mm.
some people say it's praying, meditating, whatever like your thing is, but that's the one thing I can say I haven't been doing my like meditation and writing like I usually write like 10 things I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I'll either write out the serenity prayer or I just kind of like say it for a couple minutes and
Oh,
then I
good for
carry
you.
on.
I don't do any of those things.
Well, I haven't.
Would
And
probably
so
benefit me.
yeah, just like,
Yeah,
it's
they talk
hard.
about it all the time.
Right.
Gratitude lists and all that. Yeah, for sure.
And the meditation I feel like is part of like my praying process,
Mm.
just that breathing and kind of calming and like, all right, we got this,
Right.
So I do know that that's not happened. Like that's probably part of it. I just need to get back into it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's easy. It's easy to just be going along, chugging along, feel like you got it, feeling good,
Mhm.
no big deal. Stop using the tools. And they talk about, that's why people go out,
Mhm.
right? That's why people go out because they stop connecting with the. I mean, I don't think you isolate. And I think that's the big death sentence is when people stop connecting
Mhm.
and think they got it. And then they have no sober community, which I think
Right.
is incredibly important. Um, and then I think the evil little monster in our head probably goes, "Hey, you're all right. So, you're out to social hour with these, or social hour, what am I, 110? You're out to happy hour with these guys. Like,
You can have
who'd
one.
care if you had a beer? These people wouldn't judge you. They don't care. You can have one. And then,
Mhm.
3 days later, you wake up from your bender.
Right. Husband's gone. Car's
Oh, it's
banged
like a
up.
country song. Truck's gone, husband's gone, dog's gone. Play it
So
backwards.
you were saying, which I found was interesting because you are better about going to the meetings. During COVID, it's kind of hard to get to them, and then we're in Florida, so it's like everything. Oh, we pretend like nothing's happening, even though everything's happening.
Mhm.
Whichever side you're on politically, I mean, it's happening. Like, can't fight science, and
You're
so I
so
mean, you can
funny.
try, but
But you can argue that the media isn't telling you everything.
right, of course. I mean, that's all the time. But so you're better about going, logging on,
Yeah, more
Zooming.
remote than anything. I've only
Right.
been to like three, maybe four in-person meetings total during this situation.
And we've been to 3 of
w-
them together.
yeah, and there were a couple early on where my home group was meeting outside that
Mhm.
I went to, but that freaked me out because the people from out of town started coming. Um, so mostly it's been Zoom, and I was being really good about logging on Mondays because that was always my day. Like I like the
Mhm.
Monday night group, even though most of the people I really like to see are there most days of the week. It's funny. One of the women that was on last night, she celebrated 37 years this month, and I
Oh
was like,
my
oh, it's longer
god.
than Lindsay's been alive, but she celebrated 37 years this month, and I thought this woman comes every day.
She goes to AA
37
every
years
day?
sober, and she is at every meeting I have ever been to for my home group. She goes every day. Doesn't matter what day of the week I go, she's there.
Have you talked to her? Like, on the side?
No, not really. She's super nice. I mean, I know her. Like we've sat at the table together, um, but I don't know her well. But it's interesting to me, and I think there's a lot of that in my group. There's a lot of longevity in my group. Like, and we've got this one old timer. I don't know where he lives. I think he must be a snowbird. Like,
Okay.
but I've never seen him in person. I've only seen him on our Zoom group, and he's so sweet, and he's probably in his like late 70s and has been sober since like the 80s. And when he starts to talk, it's going to be a long one, and he just like
Mhm.
rambles for a really long time, but he's really cute and funny. But anyway, there's a lot of longevity in our group. We have a lot of people with a lot of time. We also have, it's interesting, the longer I go, like I've seen people go out and come back. Like I've seen people who I know were doing really well come in and take a white chip, and it's weird for me, like people who were there before me that now have like walked in and have like 17 days, and I'm like, oh my god, that's blow my mind. But
Yeah, because they encourage you, to, like, sorry, stay away from my speaker. When you are new again or whatever, to in the first 90 days as to
mhm,
say how many, and kind of I kind of like that accountability
I
for
love
it,
it.
because that's one thing that scares the shit out of me is I wouldn't never want to be like, oh, you know,
Well, it's cheerleading squad too. I
yeah,
guess I take it more as like being able to cheer for people, like, yeah, all right, 17 days, we got this, let's keep coming
right.
back, glad you're here, all the
It works if you work it.
works if you work it, keep coming back. Love it. I totally did it last night. Keep coming back, we're glad you're here. um So yeah, so I was going to talk a little bit about meetings and
Mhm.
types of meetings, and kind of how my group does things. 'Cause I think it's interesting, and I should make a better effort to come to like different days and different nights of the week, because
Mhm.
Monday nights, which is usually my day, we read from the Living Sober book, which is really funny sometimes because it's super antiquated, and because it's from like the 30s,
Oh,
and
I've read
it
it.
talks about sometimes I like to put my knickers on and knit. It's just weird things that you're like, oh, that's a little old school. But Monday nights we read from that, and then we discuss it, and then but every night is a different thing. So Thursday nights are a traditions meeting, which means they whatever month it is the step and the tradition of the month. So July, it's step 7, tradition 7.
Okay.
So if there's a step meeting, it's on 7. If there's a traditions meeting, it's on 7. So the 7th tradition for AA is about money. It's about being self-supporting through their own contributions,
Okay.
right? Remember this,
Mhm.
you've heard this one a million
Yeah.
times. But what was interesting is when you read it out of the 12 and 12, it really gets into the depth of why AA doesn't accept money from, like, you wouldn't have a fundraiser for AA. You wouldn't get a donation from a charitable organization to AA. They wouldn't
Right,
accept
because
it.
there's so many celebrities that swear by AA
People try to
and
leave the money in their wills, things
right.
like that. So they will not accept a monetary gift of more than $2,000. That's the rule. So if it's over $2,000, they won't take it. And it started with somebody trying to leave them $10,000 in her will, and their fear was it was going to cause angst and animosity
Mhm.
amongst the group members because everybody was going to have their own agenda of what they think they should do with the money, and it was going to become something that it shouldn't be. We also, as alcoholics, and I'm sure everybody listening to this can attest, we have a tendency to be bad with money. Like, we tend to
Hmm.
have debt. We tend to not be very responsible. Like, maybe not once we're sober and
Right. No,
behaving
yeah.
soberly, but that's a part of our recovery. Most of us, when we get sober, we're not in the greatest financial health. We don't have
No.
two nickels to rub together, and that it talks about that. And I was like, oh, that is so fucking interesting that it's not just like I'm just a jerk with my money. It's a part of my alcoholism that I spent the way I spent, and then I came out of my drunken stupor with some pretty fucking substantial debts, and
Yeah, no,
it's
that
all a
makes total
piece of
sense.
it. So it was really interesting, and they also, so every AA group has a responsibility of having a treasurer, and they have a
Mhm.
committee or a board or whatever you want to call it that kind of runs the group, pays the rent for wherever they're meeting, buys the coffee, those kinds of dollars go to, right? That's why you're putting your
Mhm.
money in the basket, is to go toward those things. So it's a bunch of drunks running the show. And a lot of groups have had situations where the treasurer has like gone out and taken the money with them.
Never come back.
Well, and they might come back. So one of the group members in my home group, who I love, he's like the coolest guy. He was saying he was a member of a group where that happened, and he was mortified by it. Like, he was so upset
Mm.
this guy had just like taken off with the money. I don't know how much money it was. Like, I think usually groups don't keep more than like $1,000 to $2,500 in their cash.
Right.
But this guy like took off with all the money, and he was mortified. He was upset. He was angry. He had all these feelings about it. And months later, the guy like woke up from whatever bender he was on and came back into the rooms, not that group, but wherever he was. And eventually, as part of his steps, reached back out to the group and
Oh.
wanted to repay the money. And so for years, he was like paying what he could. And he's the guy in my group said they finally had a meeting and were like, listen, we need to just forgive the debt. Like, shit happens. We know who we are.
Mhm.
We know it could be any one of
Right.
us. And they were like, you're good, man. Like, thanks for making the effort. We're glad you're getting healthy. That's all we want for you. And they forgave the debt. I thought that was cool. But it was just really interesting to hear all of like the background of it and all the things that could happen if we did. I think about YP. We have $30,000 in our bank account. Can you imagine if that's what was sitting in an AA account and somebody like fucking went off the deep end?
No, I guess I never really thought about it, but because I don't go to those meetings, but that's so true. I mean, when I
Mm-hmm.
got sober and actually pulled my head out of my ass and the
My
sand, I was
ass and
gonna
my head
say,
out of the
yeah.
sand.
Um, and that's part of it too, right? Like, why do we drink? Oh, like I'll just drink about it and it'll go, that debt will
Right,
go away,
right.
right? But it
Close my
doesn't,
eyes.
like,
Yep.
you know. And so I had a good chunk. I mean, I think I had 15,000 in debt. So,
Mm-hmm.
and
You're
I
doing an amazing job.
right, I paid
Yep.
like 10 of it off.
Yep.
So that's, part of it. But yeah, I still struggle with spending money and getting that
Mm-hmm.
like high from it,
Mm-hmm.
like if I walk, I
Well,
mean,
I
I can just,
deserve something. I've been
right,
so good. I deserve it. Doesn't matter if I can afford it. I deserve it.
exactly. So just finding that
All
balance, I could
self-centered
totally, yeah.
alcoholic
But I
circle.
haven't had a drink in 13 months and
Right?
2 weeks.
Deserve that
I know.
$200 pair of Jimmy Choos. I'm
Well,
just kidding. I would never
no.
really do that.
Well, it's so funny because I was
I
buying
am
all
gonna
this.
buy a saddle though.
Yeah,
That'll
I was buying all this stuff for work just to kind of get like a fresh wardrobe for my new job back in February or March. And now I just look at my closet and I'm like,
be.
oh, like, because I'm working
Oh,
from home,
guess I'll wear
so,
some sweats today.
well, I try to wear what I call like comfy cute clothes.
Oh my god, that's
So like
hilarious. It's business
this,
casual every day. It's business
well,
casual. Business
crazy
casual
talk.
Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, and my work when I do go in, it's like they have adapted this like you can wear jeans every day, just
Right.
why we're getting through COVID.
Right.
So when I do actually have to put real clothes on, I just throw on jeans, which isn't really.
Yeah. They
And I'm
all
like,
laugh at me because like this is how I dress for work typically, like in
mhm.
dresses. And I work with fire and sprinkler systems. I'm literally like climbing on the roof of hotels and climbing through the bushes looking for sprinkler backflows and like I'm in heels and
Right.
a dress. And so they all laugh at me. And now I've gotten to the same point where I'm like 90% of the time I'm in jeans and a nice top. Like that's I
Yeah.
made them order me some shirts yesterday. I was like, hi, I need some polos.
Yeah. No, and I have a couple
Because
polos
everything
too.
I have says our old company name, and I
Oh.
need new stuff, even though I don't want to admit it that we are who we are.
But I do think it's important on that note, like if you do make a milestone to like get a to set
Reward.
goals. Yeah,
Mhm.
sober treats, right?
Yes,
Steal that word
I
from our
love
friends.
sober treats. Yes.
And I think that's why I'm more goal oriented. I was thinking a lot about what you said about my personality yesterday.
I don't know
And
what I said.
because I was like,
Oh,
I'm not
the
an A type
A. Yes,
personality.
she is. Yeah, she is.
And
I think it's more the perfectionist and the task, like the detail oriented task perfectionist that you are that makes me say that. I don't know what the true
okay.
definition of a type A is, but
Hmm.
that's what I put in that box is somebody who's like, it needs to be just so, it needs to be perfect, it needs to da, 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 and you're very much on point with that. I'm kind of like, it's not right. It can be fuzzy. It can be fuzzy around the edge. I don't care. Like,
That's so funny. Oh, I lost my train of thought there.
sorry.
No. Hmm.
Personality. Sober treats.
Sober treats are important. I like setting goals. Set a goal, you meet it, you get something. Set another goal, you meet it, you get something. It keeps your eye
Yeah.
on the prize, you
Yeah, for
know?
sure. But I think you have to be smart. Okay, so I do Weight Watchers, right? I
Hmm.
should probably be going to Overeaters Anonymous. They clearly have a food problem.
Oh, God, me too.
And Weight Watchers is a lot like AA, not for anything, but there's actually a sober group within Weight Watchers that I belong
Oh.
to. Lindsay always laughs at me for my
Oh
quotes,
my
but
God. She belongs to
I
every
belong
group
to
possible. The
everything.
bearded dragon group she's just telling me about. I'm
I
like,
am a bearded dragon. So anyway, Weight Watchers is a lot like AA, but my point to that was so you don't want to reward yourself for losing 10 pounds by eating a piece of chocolate cake,
mm.
right? Wrong win.
Is that a
You
wrong
do
one?
reward yourself by buying a cute
Yeah.
dress that's in a smaller size that fits. Like so if you're an alcoholic and you want to celebrate 10 months, but one of the problems of your alcoholism is you're not very financially responsible, you might want to reward yourself with a beach day
Right.
versus a
A
new
spa, a
computer.
$500 spa day.
Right. Like, be smart. You
Yeah.
have to think in those terms. The trip to Disney might not be the smart move. Um,
God, especially now. But no, I do
I know.
think even tiny little treats like, and I try to do this throughout the day. Like when I finish this task, I can get up and I'm going to go for a walk
Yep.
or I'm going to get up and make lunch. Like I try to
Mhm.
just keeps me going personally.
Yeah, it's good. I know.
Um,
I agree. I'm not very good about that. My task lists just get longer and longer. And I'm like, oh, but there's another episode of 90 Day Fiance on.
oh my God, so funny.
It's so
Well,
great.
thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, we love you.
We appreciate you. And if you guys have any comments or questions or sober treat ideas or what you do for fun
Love
for
sober
a sober
treats.
treat, do you go to the spa? Do you read a book? Whatever it is that you do,
Yeah,
let us
we can only
know.
come up with what we do.
Yeah.
So you have to tell us what you do.
It's like horse golf exercise. People are like, not into that.
Not so much. That's on that side of the table.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And please feel free to reach out to us. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Wild Girls Gone Sober.
At gmail.com
At
if you want to
gmail.com.
email us.
Thank you.
Yep. And until we meet again, you can stay sober wherever you are.
We choose to do it in paradise.
Bye, girls.
Bye.